All right, y'all, what is going on? All right, today we're gonna walk around the city limits place a little bit. I'm gonna kind of show you what we got going on this season. So make kind of a little story timeline about what we've got going on out here. I mean, as you can see, the house and the barn are right here behind me. And this is just kind of my walk-in. I usually park down at the house when I get here in the mornings or evenings and walk up through this alleyway. I'll end up having my blinds over here. I got to clean out a lot of this. I mean, as y'all can see, kind of this place is thick with trees. There's a rough. All right, what I want to talk about is on this property, I've got 8 acres and it's super long, but it's not that wide. At the widest, I think this place is about 80 yards wide, 70 to 80 yards wide at the widest. So guys, what I want to talk about is when you're hunting city limits, you have to be in good contact with your neighbors. I'm in contact with these neighbors here, so we know what's going on. If I shoot a deer that crosses over onto their side, then all I have to do is give them a phone call and go retrieve my animal. I've never had that issue. Last year we were fortunate enough that every deer we shot ended up on this property. Which brings me to my next point. Stand in blind location on a place like this. Because if I can keep my animal from running over onto the neighbors, that's what I'm gonna do. And guys, another successful part of why we were able to keep our animals on our side of the fence is due to wreck broadheads. We're gonna post the link down below in the details. So y'all go to wreckbroadheads.com, check them out, and go get some. Because guys, their 1.8 expendables are hands down the best broadheads I've ever used. So check out the link in the bottom. Go check them out for yourself. Get you a pack. I think you'll really enjoy them. Let's talk about blinds and stands and the placement, why I've got them where I do. This here behind me, and I should have taken this booger down, and I didn't. It's my fault. This is my north wind blind. So when I get a north wind and it's blowing out over all this, I am tucked back deep enough in here that my wind goes down here instead of my other blind will be right over here in this corner. So instead of my wind blowing right into their noses, it kind of blows back in here, and I usually still get deer coming out onto this. I usually hunt this blind a lot with my boy. I like to stand hunt. I do ground blind hunt quite a bit, especially if I've got my son with me. He's 9, he shoots crossbow. So I'm not gonna put him in a tree yet at 9. We'll wait another couple years to get him in a tree. But guys, there are trails. There's a trail here and a trail here. There's a driveway that's the property line about 30 yards north of me here. And then we got about another 50 to the fence. So like I said, about 80 yards long. But guys, this is my north wind spot. It blows my wind where the deer are not coming out from. The deer will come out from the trees into this opening here. The reason I've chose this spot for south wind and on the location of it is, like I said, the neighbor's 30 yards that way. If I shoot the deer, or my son shoots the deer right out here, 9 times out of 10, the way it is worked out is they go back toward the property line and they take that trail right before the fence and they run back into the trees and end the ball game. That's what all the deer did last year, thank God. But like I said, stay in good contact with your neighbors. I do, and it pays off. And so right in here, is going to be where my south wind blind is at. It'll be easy for me to access. And like I said, they usually come out of this corner over here. Every now and then I'll get them to jump the fence right here. But even the deer I shot here last year that come in still ended up making this curve back into the trees and expiring. One doe didn't even make it to the fence. And I punched her good with a rake broadhead. I mean, she went about 30 yards piled up. On my stand location, those are my two blind locations, and like I said, the reason I like to use those, the deer never run back on me to the property behind me, which is good because that guy also hunts. So if I can keep from it, I don't want any of my animals running back toward him and potentially messing up his hunt. I would rather my animals come back because no one hunts this property over here, and I have got permission to find a deer if I shoot one and it does cross the fence. But like I said, we have not had one cross the fence yet. So my stand location for this year, and this is going to be my first year doing this, and I'm kind of worried about it. I don't know how it's going to pan out, but we're going to try it because this is a main travel corridor right here for these deer in and out of these thick trees. And I'm pretty sure, and I've got camera photos to prove it, this back here is a staging area. So in the evenings when the does are coming out and the smaller bucks are coming out, I've got bigger bucks hanging up in here. So kind of what I want to do is clear some of this stuff out, these smaller sapling trees, get some of the higher branches knocked out, or not so much the higher ones, but some of the lower ones that are going to potentially get in my way. I don't want to clean it up too much because, guys, you got to remember this is city limits, and a lot of people might think that hunting city limits deer is not the same. These are deer that people feed off their back porches. No, with these deer, that is not the case. These deer are harder to hunt than any other property I've ever hunted on. So we're wanting to clean some of that stuff up, but not so much that it makes them uncomfortable to be in. We still want them to feel hidden, because this right here is my tree. I want my stand right up here. Right up there where it splits off is about where I want my stand at. I feel that's high enough. It's, I think, about 15 foot. I wish it was a little bit higher. And we might use one of these trees right back here, but we're gonna start with this one. This is a good starting point. Like I said, I've got deer that come through here and through here, and they stage up here. Now, I'm hoping, my hope is that if they use this trail here, catch them coming back in, and then they just stay inside our fence line here and kind of head back here toward the back, toward the creek, and expire. Or I shoot one off in the trees. It runs off 40, 50, 60 yards and expires. Guys, we got to remember we're bow hunters. That doesn't happen all the time, but that is what we would like to see happen. So that is what I'm shooting for this season. But guys, I'm going to kind of go through the cleanup process. And as you can see, the deer like to cross this fence right here too. So we're going to get some of this stuff cleaned up, and hopefully this season is the season that we kill a big buck off of this property. I've tried for the past couple years and have not been successful as far as killing a buck, because it's been kind of a learning curve out here. It's been different. Like I said, these deer are a lot harder to hunt, and they know when there's a change in their area. I mean, these deer have picked up on it, just bam, bam, bam. So yeah, let's get it all set up and see what happens. right, y'all. Well, that's kind of step one. We've still got a lot of cleaning up to do. But it's hot today. It's like 101. And I was gonna come out here this evening, but mosquitoes are so bad right now that I would rather deal with a little bit of heat than a ton of freaking mosquitoes this evening. So guys, we've still got a lot of cleaning up to do. Like I said, my main deal was I wanted to show y'all how I have my blinds set up for certain winds, and where I'm going to put my new stand this year. Like I said, I've hunted this place for 2 years. I've killed one buck off of it, old buck off of it. Wasn't a monster by any means. He's broke off on one side, just had one long tine and 4 points on the other. Still a really good deer. I was happy with him. But this year, I am on the lookout for some of these big boys that have been running around through here. Like I said, 2 years of hunting and trying to learn patterns on these deer. And I think I finally kind of got it narrowed down, which is why I'm kind of making my stand location what it is. I'm going to keep my blinds where they're at. I'm not going to change them up much, but because I tried that last year. I tried moving one inside the trees where the bucks were staging at, or a good ways off of it, and they quit using it. They were done. I mean, it was one of those deals. Snuck in the middle of the day. I didn't make a lot of noise. Racket, stuck up a quick blind way back out of the way, even behind some vines. Got out and waited a few days, went back and hunted it, and had no luck off of it. Bucks quit using that area. These deer are a lot smarter than I give them credit for. But guys, hope you enjoyed this. This is part one. We'll have part two. We'll come out, clean up a little bit more, and I'll probably have one of the guys with me to hopefully hang a new stand and put the climbing sticks up. But we're gonna go ahead and do that early this year, so come this fall, we're ready to rock. So thanks for watching, guys. Subscribe, hit that subscribe button. Give us a like. If there's something you'd like to see or something you'd like to ask or comment on, leave it down in the comments below. We'll be happy to get back with you and see what kind of y'all's thoughts are. And till next time, love y'all, and get them kids to the woods.